Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls coming to you from the West Coast. I made this just floral explosion. I don't know what else to call it. It stands up like that. Looks like that when it's standing up. Nice birthday card. Fairly simple other than just all of these layered stamped florals. And I mean, it actually does fold relatively flat. So not too bad. Let me show you how it's made. Okay, so we're going to start by stamping some flowers. And I've got the Happy Flowers layering stamp set. And I've already stamped a bunch of them, but I'm going to stamp just the one flower this time. And it's a 4-layer, so it's this one, this one, this one, and this one. So I'm going to stamp that first layer. And I'm going to do these in yellows. So I'm going to stamp that first layer in Citrus Burst. I'm going to stamp this one in the next yellow, which is Fresh Lemon. Then the next layer is the middle. And get it in there the right way. And I'm going to stamp that one in Yellow Ochre. This is a great layering stamp set if you're not the most confident with layering stamps because they line up very easy. And it's only 2 layers, and then it's the center layers, and the center layers aren't like super critical that you get them in exactly correctly. Okay. I'm going to stamp this one in Chamomile. It's kind of this bright goldy color. Okay. And there's my Happy Flower. And I've already done a bunch. It's actually got this flower and then a smaller one. And I did these other ones in a different yellow. I did them in Sunray and Maple Yellow. So it's a little bit darker yellow, but I already had 3 of those. So, and I did these in the Citrus Burst and Fresh Lemon. So I wanted another bright yellow one. Now I've also got my Blooming Tulips set. And I'm going to do my tulips. And I've already done 2, and I'm going to do 2 more. And I did these both in the Blush, Rouge, Crimson, and Velvet. This one is Blush, Rouge, and Crimson. And this one is Rouge, Crimson, and Velvet. So I'm going to do one of each again. So I've got kind of some variations in color. So that was the blush. Now I'm going to do this one and the second layer of this one in the rouge. This layering stamp set also is relatively straightforward to line up. So it's another good one if you aren't the best at lining up layering stamps, because some of them can be quite tricky. I'm going to do the same thing again, as I'll do 2 at a time. looks good. And I'm going to do both of these in crimson. This one I'm going to do in velvet. And you can see how using the same ink colors but just sort of varying. This one started with the lightest and just went 3 layers, and this one started with the second color and went to the fourth, the darkest color, and you get that very different look. But because they're the same color family, they're completely complementary and they look good together. Now, I've got those little centers, which is this little stamp. And honestly, if you didn't feel comfortable stamping these little tiny things, I'd just get a little pen, an alcohol pen or a watercolor marker, and just fill in those little holes. But if you don't get them perfect, it doesn't matter that much. This is harder to line up. I'm just going to try and fill in those holes. Okay. And there's one more. It's just these like little tiny 3 dots. And I am just going to put it on my stamp block. And I'm going to use, actually I'm going to use chamomile on that. And you can just use it to kind of fill in anything that didn't get stamped. It's meant to go right there, but since I kind of messed up that center, I'm going to use it to kind of fix my boo-boo. That's the benefit of these little center stamps like that. You can go back and fix them. Okay, now I also need to do some foliage. I'm not going to do the stems on these because of the way that I'm going to use them, but I do want some of the leaves. I do not have a die for the tulips. It has a die set, but but they were sold out, so I wanted the stamp set, but they were sold out of the die set, so I have to fussy cut these. And they're not the easiest to fussy cut, but now I'm going to make my card. So I'm going to make, this card is 6 by 10. So 6 by 10. And then I cut 2 inches down at the between the 4-inch and the 8-inch mark, and 2 inches from the bottom at the 2-inch to the 6-inch mark. And then score here, 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 and here. And you can see I actually scored there. You don't need to score those. So, looks like that. And then I cut some matte layers. These are 4x4 squares. These are 2x2 squares. So I cut black and for those, and then a white layer that'll go on top of the black. Okay, and these are going to go in each of my 2x2 square. But before I do that, I want to give these a little bit of something extra. So I've got this embossing folder. It's the Alta New Rustling Leaves, and I just want this leaf pattern. And so I'm just going to put my 2x2 squares, one there and one here. And it's just going to give me that nice leaf pattern. And that gives me a nice emboss using just that corner of the embossing folder. And then when I mount it on that white, it just gives it a little bit something extra. Now I did not mount these 3 inner layers because they don't really show that much, and they really won't show as soon as I get my flowers on there. But for my white, for these, I'm going to stamp sentiments on there. Then this is going to go on here, down here. This one's going to go up there. And I feel like it needs just a little something. Let's see. And you know what? I can get these in and use my same embossing folder that I used on the other ones. And that'll give it just a little something. Sometimes you don't need much, just a little something. Now I'm going to add my flowers. So I've got all these flowers and some foliage, and I'm basically going to add them along here, just right over the edge. Like that, and then I'm going to tuck in my yellow flowers. Isn't that pretty when it stands up like that? Looks like that. so pretty. I love that. Love, love, love. Now you can trim off the edges if you want, but I just kind of love that look. So I'm going to leave it just like that. Hope you like that. Thanks for watching.